All right, so we have friend of the show, Steve Crowder, also known as Cold Feet Crowder, doing his Change My Mind segment once again after years of staying in his basement, afraid to go outside. He is someone who gets spooked by loud noises, apparently. And he talks to, once again, unprepared college students, although he has claimed that he's going to start reaching out to college professors to debate him. We'll see what happens. Of course, this is the guy who ran away from a debate from Sam Cedar. I don't know why Sam is so intimidating to him. But anyway, in this segment, he claims that, most political violence is coming from the left. And not only that, but leftist ideology is inherently violent, even though for the past 30 years, the right has been committing more violence. So I don't see how that quite makes sense. But anyway, in this segment, Steve Crowder repeatedly lies. And I took it upon myself. I put this burden on myself to expose all of the lies that he spews in this video.
We would agree, though, that's political violence, right?
I would agree, based on what you're telling me. And
Yeah.
again, I just want to clarify.
Sure.
What you're saying is these acts of political violence are done disproportionately by the left
Yes.
compared to the right.
As a method, yes.
Okay. I mean, maybe I don't disagree with that. I mean, the sign out front just said the left is violent,
Sure.
which I don't agree with, especially as a whole. I mean, I think there are a lot more incidents of peaceful protest and moderate and people who are on the left who, I mean, it's a very, very small, isolated segment, and we're talking about.
But what if you were
a
wrong about
handful.
that?
What if I was wrong that most people who lean left or are on the left?
Are peaceful. What if I were to tell you that a majority of today's political left view violence against either political adversaries, people of political persuasions, as acceptable, as somewhat to complete? What if it's
that's
over
different.
62%? Somewhat to completely acceptable. What if those on the left actually support political violence at a ratio of 5 to 8 to 12 to 1 to conservatives? What if that was a fact? It doesn't mean that you are, but it, again, would be reflective of the whole of the left, much more so than the right.
If that was a fact,
Which it is not. Okay, so he's claiming that 62% of the left finds political violence acceptable. Okay. And throughout this Change My Mind segment, he refers to a YouGov poll. A YouGov poll. So I took it upon myself to look it up. And what I found was that yes, people who identify as liberal or very liberal find political violence acceptable, in some cases, more than conservatives. That part is true. But his claim that 62% of people on the left say that political violence is acceptable is wrong. Wrong. The highest number here is 25%. 25%. Not even close to what he said. Not even close. 55 to 75% say it's either never justified, or they prefer not to say, or they are unsure. So he's just straight up lying. Straight up lying. If we look at the same question broken down by party, okay, it says here that 76% of Democrats say violence is never justified. 13% say yes, sometimes justified. So where this 62% number is coming from, I have no fucking clue. Oh yeah, his ass.
But for example, let's take a hypothetical scenario. Let's say that someone walked up to somebody in the street and said, "Are you a Trump voter?" And the person said, "Yes." He said, "You're a Trump voter? Are you sure?" Bang, bang, shot him, killed him, point blank, and then said, "I got him, I got the Trump voter," and then was shot by the police. We would still consider that political violence if there's documentation of that, right, on camera?
Sure.
Okay. So you would agree with that?
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm just...
Okay, I want you to watch this because this, you just... It's in Portland.
That's obviously terrible.
Yeah, that was Aaron Danielson, and that was a Mr. Michael Rhino in Portland. That wasn't listed according to the current stats as political violence because the police shot him before there was a guilty conviction.
Okay.
We would agree.
The police shot him like 3 days later. A couple of things wrong with that, okay? You know, just as a factual matter, Michael Rhino did not ask Aaron Danielson if he was a Trump supporter before he shot him. Nor did he say, hey, we have a Trumper here. That's just factually wrong. Now, it still was politically motivated, okay? But let's just get the facts straight. Second of all, according to the ADL, which documented instances of political extremism in 2020, which is when that shooting happened, absolutely included the shooting of Aaron Danielson in their statistics. All right? Right here. The one 2020 murder not committed by a right-wing extremist was the fatal shooting of Aaron Danielson, a member of the far-right Patriot Prayer group, by Antifa activist Michael Rhino. So Steven Crowder once again lying, this time about the shooting of Aaron Danielson not being included in political violence statistics. That's just straight up false. It's false, bro.
There's no off-ramp here. Let me explain to you what I mean. I think we both want to avoid any type of civil war or serious conflict, right? We both do.
I don't think we're close to that.
I'll tell you why I think it could be in the cards within the next decade, okay? And I've not said this before these last 2 years. There was only one off-ramp when the left, a member of the left, assassinated Charlie Kirk in cold blood in the name of political leftism, of radical trans ideology leftism, right? Justified it through Charlie Kirk being hateful, which he's not, him being prejudiced, which he's not. The only off-ramp would have been if the leadership on the left, and if the majority of the left said, hey, look, this has gone too far. We've labeled these people fascists, Nazis, racists, genocidists because of their trans policy. And my God, some people out there are actually believing it. We're sorry. Let's tone it down.
Oh, that's so great. Look, Steven. Or Steve. I don't know what you go by. Your guy, Donald Trump, has called his opponents fascists, vermin. Stephen Miller, who is crying like a little baby that he was called fascist by Gavin Newsom, has also called his political opponents fascist. Oh, God forbid somebody take that seriously and do something bad to someone on the left, but you don't give a fuck about that. Otherwise, you would have called that out by now. Haven't heard a word about it. Crazy. Don't you want to avoid the deaths of Democrats? Because when he was calling Kamala Harris a fascist, you said nothing. But now it's a no-no word. You're such a fucking hypocrite, dude.
Instead, there was a very surprising, gleeful celebration thereafter. And you can say not all the left, but every single vigil, every single memorial, every single mural that was put up was desecrated, spit on. There were assaults from the left when people on our side, and by
does he know for a fact that every single vigil, every memorial, does he have documentary evidence of that? All of them being desecrated? Which I think is despicable, by the way, but I mean, he doesn't know that for a fact.
By that I mean conservative Christian America, by and large, have one of ours attacked, and then they pursue our spaces to honor the dead and celebrate. That tells us, oh, there are too many.
So you think because of this, you think we're trending towards some kind of civil war, civil conflict?
I can tell you this, I have a pretty large sample size, and this would be anecdotal in addition to the empirical. Since COVID, I would say that's number 2. I never saw more people change their political persuasion outside of COVID in my lifetime. People who were self-identified liberals who couldn't send their kids to school, right? They thought, okay, it's going too far. I've never had more people reach out and say, I was so shocked at the celebration and justification, the assassination of Charlie Kirk from who I thought were moderate liberal friends, that I've had to delete them from social media. I can't be included amongst them. There's an exodus taking place because of the reaction. And you can't point me to one of...
Dude, I'm sorry. If you are changing your political positions because some cringe people on TikTok celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, then you're a moron. Like, I'm not going to suddenly say, oh, I don't believe in Medicare for all, or, public housing, or universal daycare, or, promoting unions, because people online are kind of cringe. Really?
And you can't point me to an example like that on the right. It doesn't exist.
Look, I mean, you're making good points. I don't see how this is leading to civil war, but I totally agree with what you're saying. I've seen people have the exact reaction that you're discussing. I think it's wrong. In my experience from anecdotal evidence, this is why I'm curious to see the empirical studies, I don't think that represents a majority of the left. The incidents you're talking about memorials being desecrated,
And you've seen it, right?
I've seen it, but this isn't coming from, the Democratic leaders. This isn't coming from the majority of...
Sure it is.
I wouldn't say...
How is that? I'm sorry, did Chuck Schumer drive his Mercedes through a fucking Charlie Kirk vigil? When did that happen?
You're saying Democratic leaders?
Yeah, let me explain to you. Charlie Kirk was killed because people actually believed that he was a fascist. And Gavin Newsom just said it about the Republican Party and Stephen Miller not more than 24 hours ago.
So he's moving the goalpost. This kid said that Democrat leaders have not been celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. They have not been justifying it. They have not been desecrating memorials. And then he falls back to the fascist. It's like Russia, right? Marsha. Look, your side does it too. When it comes to using the word fascist, literally everybody does it. You are not blameless here. Stop using that. It's not going to work.
So you would blame the leaders for saying these
I would say they're
inciting.
responsible. If they are going to say that Donald Trump's rhetoric is responsible for Black Lives Matter, which preceded him by 2 to 3 years under Barack Obama, I certainly would say the ongoing rhetoric from the left that Republicans and Donald Trump are racist, that they are fascist.
I mean, what's wrong with accurately describing someone as racist? Like, how does that... What? Like, I'm not allowed to do that? I'm not allowed to say 2 + 2 = 4 now? Because that promotes violence?
Comparing them to Nazis, Hitler, that they are genocidists because they don't believe that children should... I think that rhetoric... Because let me ask you this. The people who have committed this violence, for example, right here at ICE, Charlie Kirk, right? Antifa, this man you just saw. They believe that Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump are fascists. If that's true, how do you deal with fascists? If half the country believes that we're fascists, how do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at the ballot box.
Let me break this down one at a time.
Yeah, you can't do it at the ballot box. Then what should have happened to Kamala Harris? What should have happened to Kamala Harris, Steve? When Donald Trump was repeatedly, over and over again, at every single rally during his campaign, calling her a fascist. How do you defeat a fascist? Did that ever cross your mind? Oh my God, dude. You cannot complain about that when your guy does it. From the very top, President Donald Trump. You moron.
That was a lot.
Okay.
First thing, I think you can't 100% blame people for the things that they say inciting violence. People have their own agency and their own decision making.
No, they campaign on them. It's the DNC campaign platform. It's
Some
fascism,
people,
Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom. You can't name one. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. Fascism, comparisons to Hitler. They say that we want to oppress blacks. They say we want to erase trans people.
I mean, you do. I mean, it's all true, though.
Donald Trump is certainly not the idol or the model of manners or, not being...
Manners are
rhetoric.
different from labeling your opposition as fascists who won't relinquish the reins of power. Ergo, you need a violent revolution.
But here's my point.
Ergo, okay, well, Donald Trump has called for violent revolution then, moron.
Yeah.
My point is, yes, some Democratic leaders have said things, have called other people fascists, have called them racist. Some people on the right as well have said things about members on the left. I've called them communists, I've called them socialists, similar type of rhetoric. And I don't think
it's similar.
I don't think it's right to...
It's identical, actually. He called Democrats vermin that need to be rooted out. Literally quoting Hitler. But he's not anywhere close to being Hitlerian, guys.
To blame the leaders for violent acts that a small minority of extreme supporters commit. I don't think that means the entire party is violent. I don't think that means that the leadership is violent. I think there are simply a small group of extremes. And I agree with you. Are we seeing it more from the left than from the right? I think we are. I think if I were to do some research...
It's an outlier, by the way. I mean, it's I'm not going to dispute the data, okay? And according to Axios, according to CSIS or The Atlantic, whoever, right, there are more instances this year alone out of the last 30 plus. And that's something we need to talk about. Yeah, we need to address it, sure. But you can't ignore the entire history of political violence in this country, and it is primarily from the right. It is primarily from the right. Which would mean, according to Steven Crowder, right-wing ideology is inherently violent. Because that's his logic.
I'm sure I would be able to find some acts of political violence
Absolutely.
coming from the right.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
But maybe there are more from the left, and that is what I've seen, and I agree with you there.
I appreciate your honesty.
But I do not agree that it is the entire Democratic Party, that it is the leadership of the left, that it is the belief of the majority of the left that these acts are okay. I know there is a higher percentage of...
Sorry, I know this bug keeps coming. It's a bitch, isn't it? Sorry.
I've definitely seen people from the left and Democrats who have not condemned what happened to Charlie Clerk and have not condemned these political acts of violence, who have not condemned...
That's not true.
Minority who say fascist, for example, who say racist. Here would be my challenge to you. Name me one member of the Democratic Party in a national position of leadership, one who's run for office, either been president, vice president, or ran for the office, who hasn't accused our side of being fascist, of comparing us to Hitler. Name me one.
I mean, this is tough for me to answer because...
Probably Joe Manchin, right? Got him. I guarantee you Joe Manchin has never called Donald Trump or his side fascist. I mean, maybe, but that would be my guess.
I'm not, super familiar. I couldn't even name that many
don't exist.
Political leaders. But I'm very certain if I looked hard enough, I would find Democratic leaders who have not called other people fascists, who have not called other people racist. I have seen a lot of them, and again, I've seen on social media, and obviously I've seen the usual suspects doing it. But
Biden, Kamala Harris, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer. Every single one of them has lobbed the fascism accusation against Donald Trump and his voters.
I agree with you, and I've seen that. I'm just saying.
I mean, what is Steve's solution to this? Do we ban the word fascist? Do we ban the word Nazi? Kind of like the reverse situation in Germany where you're not allowed to deny the Holocaust. Here, you're not allowed to call people fascists or Nazis. Oh my God, dude. Seriously, though, what is his solution to this? Is he going to police people's speech?
There are 530-something members of Congress. I am 100% sure that there is a Democratic one there. That
I'm sure there is one.
Well, right. I just don't know their name because I haven't.
But you can't point me to a single person in the right. Go Donald Trump, Vance, all the way down, who've said, hey, by the way, they're never going to relinquish power. The enemies are fascists who can't be dealt with at the ballot box.
I don't think anyone has ever said our enemies can't be dealt with at the ballot box. They have called people fascist, but I mean, he's making up the other part. Again, I mean, even J.D. Vance, Trump's own VP, called Trump the American Hitler. Why aren't you rhetorically spanking, maybe even literally spanking, I don't know what you're into, J.D. Vance? You're just going to completely ignore that? You can't point to me one person. I point to the very top, and then right under that, J.D. Vance. Boom, got him, roasted. All right, I think I've had enough. Look, Steven Crowder, he banks on the fact that, you know, most people who come up to his change my mind table have no fucking clue what they're talking about. And if they do, he can just edit them out. He can just edit them out, guys. I don't know if you know that. He has full creative control over his videos. And now he has like this challenge that he's issued professors, and he knows most people are just going to ignore him because he's an idiot. But I hope some actually reach out to him and agree to debate him, because he's just completely wrong on basically everything he said. And if you had any balls, okay, you would debate Sam Cedar. That's my challenge that I issued to you, is debate Sam Cedar. I'm sure he knows all about these things, and you could have a substantive dialogue with someone who knows what they're talking about, and maybe have your mind changed. Just kidding about that last bit. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I love all of you. You know, please consider donating if you're able to with the links down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.